Welcome to Tune My Heart. Yes, that's Toon as in cartoon, because in this podcast we'll be taking a closer look at popular animated movies through a Christian lens, in search of faith-relevant themes and traces of eternal truth. I'm your host, Tracy Harold, and just a disclaimer, I'm not a Bible scholar, nor am I a film scholar. I'm just an animation fan who loves Jesus, and who wants to explore how the themes and ideas presented in some of my favorite films might resonate with the Christian faith and help remind us of what we believe, in sometimes surprising ways. So I hope you'll join me as we get animated about our faith. Recently on X, which is still just a worse name for Twitter, there's been a lot of discussion of people wishing for the return of hand-drawn or 2D animation. And believe me, I get it. Hand-drawn animation is what I grew up with, and I too still mourn that studios like Disney have largely abandoned it, even as I do enjoy many CGI animated films. But the fact is, hand-drawn animation isn't gone. Just because the major American animation studios aren't doing it doesn't mean that others aren't. Cartoon Saloon out of Ireland just released a trailer for their next feature film, Kindred Spirits, and like everything they've done before, it looks amazing. Studio Ghibli and numerous other Japanese studios have given us many great anime films filled with amazing hand-drawn details. And this year, there are even 2 hand-drawn films out of France that are nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film. You've probably seen or are at least aware of the other 3 nominees in that category. K-pop Demon Hunters from DreamWorks, probably the favorite to win in many people's eyes, Zootopia 2 from Disney, and Elio from Pixar. I did a previous First Impressions episode on Elio. I liked it better than many others did. And I may do episodes in the future on the other 2 as well. But for now, I want to talk about the 2 nominees that you may not have been as aware of, but that are, in my opinion, definitely deserving of their nominations and worth seeing. First up is Arco. While most of the rest of the country was watching what I'm told was possibly the most boring Super Bowl ever, our family decided to head to the movie theater instead. Not much was playing at the time as far as family-friendly films, but there was one animated sci-fi fantasy movie that sounded intriguing, and I'm so glad that we did take a chance on it. Arco tells the story of a boy, named Arco, from a distant, peaceful-looking future. In this future, people have the ability to travel back in time, but no one under the age of 12 is allowed to do so. Jealous of his parents and sister who get to go on these adventures back in time and impatient for his own turn to do so, Arco steals the special cape and gemstone that allow his sister to time travel and tries to go on his own. But instead of going back to the time of the dinosaurs as he intended, he lands in the year 2075, where he meets a girl his age named Iris, her baby brother Peter, and their caretaker robot Mickey. I enjoy a good sci-fi film, and the depiction of the year 2075 in this movie is interesting because it feels very plausible, combining both elements that feel familiar to the present day and differences that one could definitely see being on the horizon for our world. The world that Iris lives in looks a lot like our own, but with more advanced technology. And on the surface, it seems somewhat idyllic, but there are hints that all is not well. The jobs of teachers, police, and even parents have been taken over by robots. Iris and her brother have parents, who we see only as holograms, but they work far from their children in the city and only visit in person on weekends, while Mickey the robot cares for the children day to day. And as nice a robot as Mickey is, it is clear that Iris and Peter are both missing something from lacking the unique human contact that only their real parents can provide. Like most science fiction, it's a warning about where we could be headed. And another part of that warning is environmental, as storms and wildfires have gotten so bad that now all buildings have protective domes that can be put up at any time to prevent their destruction. As someone living in Southern California, the wildfire scenes felt all too real and harrowing, and all too possible for our not too distant future. And the fact that the society in the film has come up with a way to mitigate the damage caused by the fires, rather than trying to prevent the fires themselves, underscores the hopelessness that Iris feels about her present world. I know Christians sometimes have concerns about environmentalist messages in movies, but we do have a responsibility to be good stewards of the earth, a responsibility that we have been imperfect at keeping at best. And while it's a part of the story, Arco is never preachy on this point. If you've seen the posters and trailers for Arco, you might also have some concerns about the prevalence of rainbows, given what they tend to symbolize in our current culture. Arco's time-traveling cape is rainbow-colored, and wherever he and his family members time travel to, they leave a rainbow trailing behind them in the sky. But there is nothing deeper to the rainbows in this movie than exactly that. In fact, we found Arco to be a really wholesome film overall. Arco and Iris do appear to have a slight crush on each other, and they share a kiss on the cheek and a hug. Another boy also has a crush on her, with an adult character asking him at one point if he's in love with her. But there are no themes of romance or sexuality beyond that. One thing that I really appreciated about the film is that towards the end, Arco's disobedience of his parents and breaking of the rules is shown to have real, lasting, and even painful consequences, as sin often does. But ultimately, the message of Arco is one of hope. Hope for the future, and hope that even our greatest mistakes can be redeemed for good. Little Amelie, or the character of Rain, is a long title for a beautiful little film. Based on a book by Belgian novelist Amelie Nothomb, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, the animation in this movie is so unique and just utterly gorgeous. Story-wise, it's maybe a little less accessible than Arco, but it's worth sticking with, as it's not only beautiful to look at, but does have some beautiful story moments and plenty of deeper themes to make you think. What might understandably turn off Christian viewers from the start is that little Amelie refers to herself as God. While we might find this offensive, it conveys the way that a new baby would see things, believing that the world began with her existence, that everything revolves around her, and that nothing really exists outside of her perception. As Amelie matures and her understanding of the world around her expands, as does her understanding of her own limitations, her references to herself as God fade away, and, slight spoiler, at the end of the film, she does acknowledge that she is not, in fact, God. So if you can get past that, I think there is a lot to recommend Little Amelie, which is basically the story of the first 3 years of her life as the daughter of a Belgian diplomat to Japan, going from a baby who is declared to be in a vegetative state to a miraculously normal, if overly precocious toddler, who seems to know so much and yet understands so little. It focuses particularly on her relationship with her family's housekeeper, Nishio, who is revealed to have lost her family in World War II, but who still manages to find joy in life, and particularly in nourishing little Amelie's sense of wonder. There's a great theme of forgiveness to be found in contrasting Nishio with the family's landlord, who despises the European family because of her own losses during the war. Little Amelie allows us to see the world through a child's eyes, and often through her imagination, which the film's colorful, vivid animation brings to life. It's not without a few dark moments, though. In particular, there is a scene that could be interpreted as Amelie wanting and even trying to die. But in the end, she comes through this moment hopeful and determined to live. If you give it a chance, Little Amelie, or the Character of Rain, is a movie that will dazzle your eyes as well as your heart and mind. It's about accepting loss, both past loss and the inevitability of future loss. and choosing to continue finding joy in the present and treasuring our memories of the past. Both Arco and Little Amelie are available to watch on various streaming platforms for a fee. I don't think either one is streaming for free anywhere yet, but if you are a fan of hand-drawn animation and of movies that make you think, I definitely believe that they are worth spending a few dollars to see. Story-wise, I lean slightly toward Arco, and animation-wise, Little Amelie is just so unique and its use of colors is so beautiful, I have to give it the edge. But they're both very good. They're also great examples of the fact that animation isn't just for kids, despite what some Academy voters seem to think. While I wouldn't say either of these films is necessarily inappropriate for kids, they're also not really aimed at children the way that most mainstream animated films are. I'd probably recommend ages 8 and up for either of these films, but I also think that older kids and adults will ultimately get more out of them. In fact, Darcy, my daughter, didn't enjoy Arco as much as myself and my husband did, which kind of surprised me since the protagonists are the same age as her. She did say she liked the robot, though, so at least there's that. But that's the great thing about animation. It can tell any kind of story for any kind of audience, not just for children. And I personally want to see more movies like these too. More hand-drawn animation and more challenging, thought-provoking stories. And I want to encourage you to do so as well. As much as I do like K-pop Demon Hunters Zootopia 2 and yes, even Elio, I certainly wouldn't mind seeing either Arco or Little Amelie win the Academy Award this year. And while we're on the subject of the Academy Awards, I also want to make sure you know about one of the nominees for Best Animated Short Film, Forevergreen. Unlike Arco and Little Amelie, Forevergreen is CGI animation, not hand-drawn. But it's been made to look like stop-motion animation, with the characters designed to look almost like moving wood carvings, which just goes to show that as beautiful as hand-drawn animation is, some wonderful and creative stuff can be and is being done in CGI as well. The first time I saw Forevergreen, I didn't really know anything about the story behind it. Now, you know I'm always looking for the gospel in the films I watch. That's what I do here. But with this little film, which is just about 13 minutes long, it was such a clear picture of the gospel that I had a feeling it wasn't a coincidence. And sure enough, a Bible verse displayed at the end of the film confirmed it for me. As it turns out, Forevergreen's directors, Nathan Englehart and Jeremy Spears, who both work for Disney Animation, are also both Christians, and they very deliberately set out to make this little passion project a reflection of their faith journeys. They have specifically cited the parable of the prodigal son as inspiration for the story, about a little bear and the tree who cares for him until one day temptation leads him away. That said, Forevergreen never feels preachy. It is, as I said, a great metaphorical picture of the gospel, but it's also just a good story that has the power to draw even non-believers in and touch them. The film took 6 years to make with the help of around 200 non-paid volunteers, so clearly the project meant a lot to many other talented people in the industry as well. And it's definitely worth celebrating that something with such a clear and beautifully presented Christian message not only got made in the first place, but has even been nominated for an Academy Award, whether it ends up winning or not. Unlike the feature film category, I can't claim to have seen every film in the shorts category, so I can't really give an opinion on whether Forevergreen should be the one to win, but I can definitely say that it is worth watching. And you can do so now, but only for a limited time on YouTube. So I'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. That's it for this episode of Tune My Heart. I kind of rushed it out in order to make it in time for the Academy Awards ceremony. And I am sorry that this is the first episode that I've been able to get out so far this year. It's just been a busy year for me, but I do have several more episodes in various stages of completion that I'm really excited to share with you, so keep an eye out for those coming up soon. In fact, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast so that you'll receive a notification whenever a new episode does come out. Thank you for listening, and thank you as always for your support. Until next time, keep enjoying animation in all of its forms.